What's up, you guys, and welcome to another episode of The Variety Views. I'm your host, The Variety Vendor, and I'm here to continue my rebooking of the punk era. And as we left off, SummerSlam, the matches that I went on to book was CM Punk versus Alberto Del Rio in a parking lot brawl, and Cena versus Rey Mysterio in the finals of the tournament to crown a number one contender for the WWE Championship. So Punk defeats Alberto Del Rio in the parking lot brawl by using one of the car doors and doing like a modified Anaconda Vice. And the main event of the show, Cena defeats Rey Mysterio in a great fucking match to become number one contender for the WWE title. And after that, CM Punk comes out face to face with John Cena, holds up the championship. This is what it's all about. And jumping from the guardrail is Kevin Nash, Miz, and R-Truth coming into the ring and beating the shit out of both men, laying out John Cena on the outside. Nash power bombs him through the announcer's table, and then gets into the ring and power bombs CM Punk a couple of times. Then Alberto Del Rio comes out, a beaten and battered Alberto Del Rio in torn up street clothes, going into the ring with a referee and cashes in his Money in the Bank, and he beats CM Punk for the WWE title. Cash in, and then they hoist up Alberto Del Rio. Vince McMahon comes out, and then he fires CM Punk. That's how you would end the show, and people are going to be like, "Ooh, what's going to happen on Raw?" So now I think that the Raw will do like a huge rating because of all of that going on. So Raw begins, and Vince McMahon would say like, we're gonna have a celebration for Alberto Del Rio. Alberto Del Rio has like his great Mexican celebration and everything. Triple H comes out and he says that I had a meeting with the board of directors, and Vince McMahon's like, what meeting? I wasn't part of that. And he's like, yeah, we had a meeting without you, and we've noticed that you've been really not using your stars to their full potential, to the point where we've been losing money because of the amount of mistakes that you've been doing. So I'm here to correct the wrong that you did last night. I'm gonna reinstate CM Punk. And it's like, what? You can't do this. I'm the board. I am the board of directors. I am the chairman. And Triple H is like, this is bigger than you and I, pop up. So at Night of Champions, it's going to be Alberto Del Rio versus CM Punk for the WWE Championship, and to ensure that there is not going to be any outside interference, I am going to be the special guest referee. And so at Night of Champions, it's going to be Del Rio versus Punk, Triple H special guest referee. Also, we're going to get John Cena versus Kevin Nash. Because you gotta keep Nash and Cena in this storyline somehow and keep them relevant. And I think Nash putting Cena through the table at SummerSlam. I think this can be there's going to be a lot of fuel to the fire for Night of Champions, and those are the two big matches that you would have on that show. Cena defeats Kevin Nash. Alberto Del Rio defeats CM Punk with help from Triple H. Triple H turns heel, and he turns on Punk, and then he holds Alberto Del Rio's hand up, and now Triple H is part of this big corporate faction. Next night on Raw, CM Punk attacks Kevin Nash with a lead pipe, hits him in the back of the knee, and he's like, "You're out." And it's like another, I wanted to say like another quad tear or something like that. It's some quad joke. So Nash is out of action for almost the remainder of the year. You can take him out for like a few months so that you can, once he comes back, he's fresh again. Especially with the loss that he had against Cena, so I think it would do him well. Um, Also on the same night, CM Punk kidnaps John Laurinaitis. And so you have Triple H and the rest of the faction looking for CM Punk, and finally CM Punk would get John Laurinaitis into the ring, and he would put him in the Anaconda Vice and force John to book a match for Hell in a Cell, and it's CM Punk versus Alberto Del Rio inside Hell in a Cell for the WWE title, and the story. I think the story deserves to be in the Hell in a Cell because, for once, it makes sense. It makes sense to do the cell match because now you have the corporation cannot interfere. So now it's just Punk versus Del Rio inside the cell. Of course, at Hell in a Cell, you would have also Cena versus Miz and Truth 2-on-1. Miz and Truth would go over, and then they would take out John Cena basically after the match. They would break his leg or whatever, and Punk would win the WWE title inside Hell in a Cell. Give Alberto Del Rio some, let him go out there and have a great match with Punk. Let it go like 20-25 minutes with Punk defeating Del Rio, putting him through a bunch of tables or something like that, to the point where Del Rio is written off. The idea of that is that a couple of months later, he would show up on SmackDown, and there would be like a trade going on. And I will tell you later on who he's traded for. So then, after that, Punk wins the championship, and this would lead to Vengeance. Vengeance, his next challenge is against Miz and R-Truth. Miz and R-Truth just took out John Cena at Hell in a Cell. And now they're an unstoppable force. And can CM Punk overcome those odds? Punk defeats Miz and R-Truth because Miz and R-Truth they cannot get along because both of them want to be WWE champions. So for the first like 5 or 6 minutes, they're working together very well, and then first 3-4 minutes, Punk is doing well, and then then for 5 minutes it would be on Miz and R-Truth's side. They're beating the shit out of him, doing a lot of double team moves, until finally they would turn on each other. Then they would have a little match against each other. Then Punk would capitalize on all of this and gets the win at the end. So a good 15-20 minute match. I think it would be a fun main event for Vengeance, especially since it's pretty much a throwaway pay-per-view. But it still would be a fun match, and it would be a good win for Punk to continue to elevate him. So the night after, Punk then says, I'm challenging the guy that that always was putting roadblocks in front of me, the guy that always found a way to screw me over, and that is Triple H. I want Triple H at Survivor Series. Triple H comes out and it's like, do you really want to face me, Punk? And he's like, yes, I do. And I want to show you why I am indeed that damn good. And I'm here to, dethrone the King of Kings, so-called King of Kings. Triple H is like, you're on. And, don't write checks that your ass can't cash. And I then after that, CM Punk hits Triple H in the balls and hits him with a GTS. So the week after that, Triple H attacks CM Punk in a parking lot. On that same night, Punk attacks Triple H in a bathroom stall, until finally, Triple H is like, hey, we can't have a regular wrestling match at Survivor Series. It's not going to be a regular bout. It's just going to be me against you in a street fight. And because that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a fight to the finish. And, and I love that line that Sting said, at on TNA, when he before he was about to face Kurt Angle. I think 2013. He was like, you know, I'm not saying that that you're gonna, I'm not gonna say that, for you to beat me is you have to kill me, but I'm just gonna say that you're gonna have to come pretty damn close, and I think that's a great line. That's a money line that Triple H can say, like, or something to, um, on that same level. And, you go to Survivor Series, and CM Punk defeats Triple H, of course, in a street fight, retains his WWE title. And I like the whole idea of it is that, can Triple H, get number 13? Can he do it? And, he goes up for it, but, or you know what, actually, I think it would be number 14 at this time. Yeah, number 14. Can Triple H get number 14? And Punk, and I think one of the better ideas for this is to do something leading up to this where Punk comes out, and dressed like Triple H, before, not during the match, but before, the week or the go home show where Punk is like, this is what Triple H used to be, a guy who was a rebellious, fuck the system type of guy, but now he's a corporate stooge. So then at Survivor Series you would have this match. Punk of course beats Triple H, and after the match, Punk throws Triple H off the stage. And you can make it out to be where Punk defeats Triple H, and then after the match, as Punk is celebrating, Triple H attacks him again, and they go up the stage, and then Punk reverses, the pedigree, and throws Triple H off the stage. And this would be the last time we see Triple H for a long time, and he's pretty much written off. Night after that, we have Punk says that. I've done everything that there is to be except for one thing that I really want to do, and that is beat the crap out of the person running this entire ship, and that is, Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon, bring your ass out here. Vince McMahon comes out and he says, do you really want to fight me? All right, tonight in the main event, you against me. They have their match, of course, and that same night. This is something that you would build up to all the way till the main event. And I think, with the buzz going on, I think that segment would do a big rating as well. And, I think there would be a lot of interest going on, that I think everybody would be talking about this on the internet. Punk versus Vince McMahon, holy shit. And the whole thing would be that, Punk, of course he's so close in beating Vince, but then out comes Miz, and Truth, and he beats them up. He kicks them in the face. He kicks Miz. He kicks Truth in the face. Then out comes Christian, and that is the trade. That was the trade between. Remember when I said Alberto Del Rio gets traded to SmackDown, but for whom? It's Christian. Christian comes in, and Punk, of course, he's able to fight them off, and he pins Vince McMahon, retaining his championship. But then Christian attacks Punk and then hits him with a concerto, after that whole thing, or since the chair shots to the head aren't allowed, he can do that to Punk's leg instead. Concerto to Punk's leg. The week after that, Christian can say that the reason why he's been traded to SmackDown and why he accepted to be a part of the great corporation is because Vince has allowed me to have one more match. And at TLC, I'm going to face CM Punk for the WWE title in the match that I made famous, the TLC match. And Christian, of course, goes on to TLC, faces Punk. Punk has a bad leg, and that's the whole story going into it. and through all odds, Punk defeats Christian and retains his championship. Now, one thing that I really wanted to mention, and this can be something um, that you can save for the night after TLC. Okay, you can do that. I think that would be something great to do, and it would be a monumental episode to do it in. And Punk can say like, says to Christian, "Hey, you gave me your best and stuff like that, but you really don't need to listen to the authority and blah blah." And Vince McMahon can even say like, "I never believe in you. I never believed in you, Christian. That's the reason why I gave all the chances in the world to Edge, the guy that carried you through all these years." And that would be Christian slapping Vince McMahon, thus turning babyface, and then Christian can go on to become like United States champion for a little bit and elevating that title. I think he's a great workhorse to elevate that championship. Meanwhile, feuding with guys like Miz and R-Truth, guys who are part of the corporation but not like in the main event. So I think that would work better for Christian. As far as Punk goes, Punk the next night would be I think the Slammies, and I always thought that the Slammies needed something. I think those episodes needed something to make it interesting, to make it monumental. I think the only one is from 2013 where they talked about Cena and Randy Orton, where there was like this the WWE World Heavyweight titles coming together basically, and there's like this coronation type of thing, and everybody was chanting for Daniel Bryan. That was a monumental moment, So I think that was a very important episode. So I think if you do that in the Slammies for 2011, I think it would be great. So what moment am I talking about? What moment would I do for the Slammies? Punk comes out and he says that since I won this championship, before I even, since I been gunning for this championship earlier this year, I wanted this company to be fun again. And, this championship represents all the things that I don't like about wrestling. So, I'm going to take it back to a time where wrestling was fun. He grabs the championship and throws it, to, or maybe gives it to a Make-A-Wish kid, in the crowd. Gives it to a Make-A-Wish kid in the crowd, and he's like, hey kid, you can have it. And, he calls out a few guys from backstage. They bring in, this platform, and he takes off the glass case and, the cloth. And, of course, there's a little drum roll, and takes off the cloth, and it's the old Attitude Era championship. The old, round Attitude Era title. And the idea being is that, Punk wants to take it back to what it was. And he says that he will challenge anybody and everybody. He will give chances to those who WWE thinks that are undeserving, but they have busted their asses and proven time and time again that they do. So tonight, I'm issuing an open challenge to anybody in the Raw roster, or back there in the locker room. Whoever wants to face me, I'm here, and I'm here to give you a chance. Out comes Tyson Kidd. Has a great match with Tyson Kidd, elevates him a little bit, great. The week after that, faces a guy like maybe Jack Swagger. The week after that, maybe faces a guy like, Yoshitatsu. Has those great matches with those guys, gives them like maybe 10, 15 minutes each, until finally, in the final Raw of the year, Kevin Nash returns, attacks CM Punk, and because this goes back to when Punk hit him with the lead pipe. And Kevin Nash challenges Punk for tonight for the WWE title, and he says, you got your open challenge, so I'm here to accept. And Punk is like, you're on, and tonight I'm going to, I'm going to break every bone in your body. And on that night, you've got the main event, Kevin Nash versus CM Punk. You've got something to build towards. And on that same night, you would have Chris Jericho return as well. Chris Jericho returns, but he's doing that same thing that when he returned in 2012, where he's not talking at all. And I will save that for the next episode. And CM Punk, of course, beats Kevin Nash, and you end the show with Punk holding up the title, and then right there on the ramp is Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho is on that ramp, and he's like looking ahead at Punk, who's holding up the championship, celebrating, and that's how you would end 2011. So right now, that's pretty much it. That's all I've got right now. So yeah, that was part 2. Check out part 3 coming soon. And yeah, with that being said, rate, comment, favorite, and please subscribe. Rate, comment, favorite, and please subscribe, and share with your friends, share with everybody. And check out my next video, I'll be talking about something else.